All right, welcome to the Wednesday team meeting. Like we always talk about, this is where we discuss various topics that will have a direct and immediate impact on your business that you can take away from here and immediately start to deploy. It is March 24th. This year is flying by. If you're not in the position where you want to be, just pump the brakes and hit reset. If you're doing well, just build on the momentum. But just realize that this is an excellent time to be aggressive with your business. A year ago, we were all scrambling around looking for toilet paper and various things as the restrictions and lockdowns started. People are in a fog. And regardless if you had a virtual business or you had a traditional business, people checked out mentally. It was hard to do business. So what you're seeing now is people are starting to come back to, and it's an excellent time to open conversations, contacts, and really get your business going. It wasn't too long ago we were turning the page on 2020. And like we just mentioned, we're well into the year now. So what you have to realize is that, you're responsible for certain parts of your business. And if you do those correctly, the rest of the business will grow. And what we're going to be talking about today is management. Management is one of the most important things that we do. The development of people are going to get us to our goals as well as our partners' individual goals. Like we said, if you're not where you want to be, just take a stand. We always talk about this. If you're killing it, build on the momentum. If you're not killing it, just reset. But understand it's your responsibility to understand where you are, understand where you want to go, how to get there, and then more importantly, what are you willing to actually do along the way to get there? You cannot have nationwide or international distribution of a product or service if you're not willing to do the upfront work. The first thing that you got to do is provide that spark. And then the second thing that you got to do is throw fuel on the fire to get that going. And we're going to be talking about some of this today. But really, if you're not providing the spark and you're not providing the fuel, you cannot expect a fire to begin. And that fire in our business is nationwide distribution of products and services that are well needed and much desired in today's marketplace. We just finished week 10 of the 12-week years. We got a couple more weeks and we're going to be done. But part of what we're talking about today in terms of management, and we'll get there in just a minute, you have to understand that we're all emotional creatures. And it doesn't really matter, what you're talking about. If it's a business that you're entering into, if you're talking about the stock market, it's all based on psychological factors. And so when you have somebody come in, they may be really, really, really excited about what they're getting into. Guys, that's uninformed optimism. They don't know anything. They're just excited. They're on a high. What's going to happen is as people start to come into the business and learn more about, this is a great business, but it's going to take some work. The more we learn, the more we get a little bit more pessimistic about, hey, this isn't going to be as easy as I thought. That naturally leads to the valley of despair. They all go there. And you've got two choices there. You can either quit and go back and start something new and start this cycle all over again, or you can dig in and make sure that you're going to get through this period of time to get the hopeful realism, informed optimism, and then finally the success. If we take it out of the business cycle context in terms of starting a business and we go back to, let's say, the stock market, this is the lows of the market right here. This is where everybody gets so emotional. They just want the bleeding to stop. They're going to sell their shares of stock just to be done. I'm hitting the exit. I'm done. And then what will happen is the stock market will start to rebound and then they'll buy back in about here. So you have to understand that fear and greed are going to drive you. And when you're down here, you've got to fight your way out because there's a lot of upside potential. Last week, we ended a multi-week series on objections. And really, we centered last week on March 17th around understanding the lead qualification process, objection handling versus negotiation. Very important to understand the difference. What are the typical objections people have? Learning the skill of reframing objections, and then preemptively overcoming objections and the structure and outline for doing so. Remember, the more that you can get ahead of stuff like objections and preemptively overcome those, the easier your job, and the easier you can create a pathway for your partners. If you're going to build a big business and you've got people and you've got a vision and you want people to buy into your vision, You got to walk it. You got to believe, you got to act as if, you got to live like you already have it. It's already coming, a done deal. You cannot project something in the marketplace and then secretly behind the scenes believe it's not going to come true. You've got to have people buy into your vision. In order to do that, the very first person that's got to buy into that vision, no matter how grand it is yourself. If you're not buying into it, I guarantee you no one else is. We are blessed to have something without territorial restrictions. I mean, I don't have to set up offices and go around a local area or a zip code. That means that my original branch office that I set up can have talented people from across this country, but I've got to do that in a fast way, because the velocity of the organizational build out is going to come from how quickly you can get an original base shop or branch office open and how well you can manage that. Because if you can get that down, the ability to replicate that and duplicate that should be pretty easy if you have system controls in place. This is your responsibility. And you can't, when you get a little bit of an office built, you can't just sway over to the management side and think that's all you have to do. Each and every month, you have a commitment to yourself and your partners and your branch office that you set the example. 3 partners, 3 clients. If you've got a 10 by 10 growth estimate, or that's what you're looking for out of an office, you're responsible for 30% of that. If you fall short and then other people watch you do that and follow your lead, all of your office build out and your distribution build out is going to fall short, because that 30% of the pie is going to be gone each and every month. It's important that you do this because I don't want to live a life of linear income. And if somebody wants to do that, that's fine. That's what makes the world go around. And that's why we lead with the cash flow quadrant in our conversations and trying to identify where they are now and where they want to go, because leveraged income, that's the real opportunity. You're not going to keep pace in this society, trading your time for money. Only way to keep pace and get ahead is through cash flow. And that comes from leveraged income opportunities. And that's really what we're talking about today, is the ability to successfully and efficiently manage people and offices to get them what they want, which ultimately gets you what you want. We just talked about this. This is our responsibility. We've got a product that's incredible. We've got a process that works. Our responsibility is to bring in, manage, and develop people. People are going to build your business, no matter how great the process or the product is. If you don't have qualified people coming through, they're going to help you. You're back to that point A as a producer with linear income, and that's definitely not what you want. Remember, when it boils down to, a business, yes, how much money we make, how many clients we have on the books, whether we smashed our sales targets, if the campaign went viral, all that stuff's important, and it's going to lead us to success. But all of those achievements would have never been possible without the right people working behind the scenes. You've got to bring in the right people, and you've got to have them fit into what you're wanting to fit them into. And that starts at recruitment. So management of people starts before they ever even come into the business, because if you're, laying down those frameworks of the conversation, if you're asking the right questions, if you're getting the right information out, if you guys are making a commitment to each other, hey, this is what I'm going to offer you, this is what I need from you. Yes, it makes sense from both sides. That starts the very, very beginning, the opening conversations, matching the right person to the right opportunity in the right organization. It's essential to remember this process starts with the very first initial conversations. If you start things right, you end things right. If you disrupt and start, going outside your own lines or your own guidelines, chaos is going to happen. This is important because with where this company is and where it's going to go over the next 24, 36 months, you guys are going to get richly rewarded for being talent scouts. So go out there, find talent. People are on the move. We've been talking about this since the beginning of the year, either voluntarily or involuntarily. People and money are on the move. You have to go out there, identify talent, negotiate to bring them into our community. Once you start to understand management, it's a lot easier to manage people. Remember, this isn't a corporate structure where you're calling people in, micromanaging, telling them what to do. You're helping them reach their goals. You're developing talent. It's a process of planning, decision-making, organizing, leading, motivating, controlling. And when you reach management, really what that does is it opens an entire leg of marketing and lead generation for you. There's unlimited leads and referrals from new partners who are coming in who need your help. Guys, somebody brand new does not know anything. They're going to need your help. You get paid to manage them. It doesn't stop or dry up if you do it effectively. So remember, people coming in, they're going to open markets. They're going to need your help. You get paid spreads. You get paid percentage of sales if you help out as the educator. There is a lot of revenue and income on the management side if you do it effectively. First thing is, as a manager, how do you see your purpose? Do you see your purpose managing people, telling them what to do, criticizing them? Now, granted, sometimes we have to be told things, and it's a little bit uncomfortable to hear those to help us out. But ultimately, your purpose, no matter what side of the business that you're on, is an educator. Whether I'm marketing, whether I'm dealing with client sales, whether I'm dealing with recruiting, whether I'm dealing with partners that are already in that I'm supposed to manage, I'm an educator. I'm showing people, I'm teaching people. And through that process, I create independence on the partner side. And that's ultimately what you want. Somebody that can take a period of time, training, support, coaching, and mentoring, and go out and do this on their own. Yes, you will still have a personal relationship, business relationship. But they don't have those questions. They don't need your help. They're doing this stuff daily without you. And that's the ultimate goal here. You're educating people on how do I come out on top? Remember, a lot of people, especially in our industry, they've failed and they haven't found success and sort of a little bit, uneasy, skeptical, disenfranchised, whatever you want to call it. One of our jobs is to help people understand that we've got an immense amount of training, support, coaching, mentorship. We don't just bring people in and throw them against the wall. The people that are actually actively working, wanting this to happen, we're going to teach them, show them how do you come out on top. That starts with you. Can't manage other people if you can't manage yourself. And a lot of times building a business, you get to the point where it's not creating the velocity or the traction that you thought. And that, reins in what we call panic management. And what that does is it creates hesitation. So what you have to do is be able to identify this for yourself. So then as you're managing other people, you can identify it and help talk them through it. A lot of being a manager, like I talk about as an educator, but it's also a little bit of a therapist as well. You have to talk people off the ledge, help them understand that we all go through what they're going through. Not taking personal responsibility and blaming others. That's, a telltale sign of panic management. And that comes from lack of activity. If somebody's unwilling to do the activity, their business is never going to get built. And then what's going to happen, like we always talk about, they come in, they do nothing, their calendar is completely white, they've got nothing to do, they drift and they quit. So lack of activity, poor financial situation. There's nothing harder than building a business under financial constraints. So sometimes, if you're talking to somebody and it's March 24th and they need to pay their rent or mortgage on April the 1st, they don't have the money. This is not the business opportunity for them. This is a bridge so they don't have to get back in that same situation. They need immediate income. So you have to understand it. Don't bring people in on false pretenses. And then the last thing is lack of plan. So activity, poor financial situation, and lack of a plan equals panic management. That creates hesitation. And you solve all of this with a legit plan of action. Each day, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? What am I trying to get out of it? Because like I said, once you're able to effectively manage yourself, and get rid of the personality defects, the self-sabotage, whatever it is that's holding you back, then you can go out and identify stuff and help people overcome those same obstacles that you faced. And sometimes, like we always talk about, if we can get this done preemptively, even better. Lack of focus and lack of positivity is going to equal issues. So the business works. There's people getting paid daily. There's people making bonuses, pools, equity ownership. So, the business is not something you have to fix. We have to fix ourselves and we have to fix our partners. And that's going to be a situation either it works or it doesn't work. Remember, don't panic, organize. More progress equals less stress. And if you can get your partners in a position where you're getting them progressing, moving forward, and they're not all stressed out, well, guess what? That takes the emotional aspect out of the business. And now we go back to data-driven decisions, things that we know they're going to work. Our business on a day-to-day basis in the trenches, building this out, is not going to be what I call exciting. A lot of what we need to do, and really, if you look at, for example, an athlete going out and shooting X amount of shots or taking enough, swings at the driving range, whatever it might be, that's just consistent, continual work. So daily activity, the ferocity of the follow-up, the method and your approach, all this is very, very important, because at the end of the day, yes, we're doing some great things, but our business, especially in the very beginning stages, is a contact business. That is your number one priority, is to let people know that, hey, I'm in business. This is what I do. This is why I'm in business, to get that pipeline built. Once you're able to do that on your own, once again, it's a lot easier to manage people and help them do the same. So what is a personal plan? What are you looking for? What are you looking for in your partners to have to get them going? Well, it's 12 to 15 appointments every week. Well, what's an appointment? We define an appointment as someone with a reason to do something, whether it's a client, whether it's a partner, it doesn't really matter to me. An appointment is, someone who has a reason to do something. And if you've got 12 or 15 of those on your calendar each and every week, and you can replicate that process for your branch office and your portfolio of digital offices that you build, explosive things are going to happen. Remember, the reason to do something comes back to a why. So whether it's a partner, whether it's a client, you cannot go forward in the conversation until you found a why, because the why is the motivating factor. If someone's not motivated to take an action step, they're not going to do it. So you have to find the reason why they would do it and continue to drill down, and then teach your office the exact same way to do it. You can't just have random conversations that go nowhere. It's like a dog chasing its tail. Once you identify the reason someone would do something, you just continue to hit that over the head like a hammer with a nail. And then the thing about management is you're going to lock people in with ownership. So let's take a look at a typical branch office. If you're bringing in 3 direct partners, and then one of those partners is able to build 4 wide, well, guess what you've done with this partner? You've locked them with ownership, because now they have something to lose here. If you're not creating something that somebody has a reason to lose, once again, it will cause hesitation, will cause people to drift, will cause people to quit. We lock people in with ownership. And remember, as a manager, you've got goals, you've got organizational goals, but if you really break those down, it's just a collection of individual goals. So if you're working with 10 partners in an office, all of those partners are unique and special people. They're going to have goals that they want to attain, their motivating factor, their why. You need to help them and continually remind them of why they're doing this. Remember, motivating factors have to be taken into consideration each and every day. You got to get excited about your business. You got to get excited about the possibilities, but you can't just talk about organizational goals, because it's not relatable to someone who's just coming in, who wants to earn $3-5 grand a month, who wants to build, X amount over Y time. So understand your partners, understand what their goals are, and help them reach them. And by doing that, you're going to get where you want to go. Motivating factors is the most important part of the retention of the candidate. And remember, we talk about this on the client side too. That statistic that 87% of salespeople, of potential clients did not buy from the salespeople because they just didn't feel like they understood their problems well enough to solve them. Same thing with candidates and partners as they come in. Even after they come in, the recruitment process still lasts another 60, 90 days after that. You got to get to know your partners. You got to get to know what motivates them and use it to actually get them going. People are going to be the linchpin of your business's success. And if you don't get that right, then your organization is going to be unable to move forward, grow, and innovate. And like I talked about, over the next 24 to 36 months, with the growth that's expected, you're going to get left behind. It's not a place you want to be. So when you're talking to partners, it's very, very easy. What is the end goal and what are the steps that are going to get there? So, on an individual basis, what are the biggest business goals, personal priorities they have, and do they have a detailed plan on how to get there? Because at the end of the day, all we're doing as managers, yes, we're providing systems control, processing, a lot of the things that we do, but you're also providing a game plan, a motivating, them to get through the game plan or the roadmap to get where they want to go. Income calculator is one of the greatest ways that you can do this, because it takes what somebody wants and now creates a number to get there. So it creates vision, clarity, motivation. How much do you want to make over the next 12 months? Let's plug it in and see what you have to do. Now, when you're doing this, especially for a new partner, don't go massive distribution down the line. Just work on a branch office and maybe a first office out of that. But other than that, You're really concentrating on what they control at this point in the business cycle. And then finally, do we have a plan in place? If we want to make 10 grand, if we want to make 20, 30, 50 grand a month, do we have a plan in place? Because remember, a goal without a plan is just a wish. That's for our clients. That's for our potential partners. That's for our partners coming in. A plan is what's going to connect it all together. And that plan has to be what we call a proactive plan. In a business environment like this, if you're just going to sit back and wait on things to happen, nothing is going to happen. You have to bring aggression, intensity, energy into each and every day and make it happen. If you sit back and wait on it to happen, you're going to be waiting a very, very long time. And like we just mentioned, people are going to pass you up. And there's nothing worse than watching other people pass you up, start to make the money. That's not a very good place to be. So being proactive is something that we do and we push ourselves to do and we push our teams to do. Because at the end of the day, what do you want to become? What is it that you want? We're going to get the roadmap. We're going to show how we get there. And then the last question is really, what price are you willing to pay to get there? And Grant Cardone says it best: pay the price today so you can pay any price tomorrow. Remember, if you're not finding the why, if you're not finding the motivating factor, number one, that partner should have never came into your business. But number two, how much time, energy, can you invest into somebody, resources, et cetera, if we're not even sure what they're trying to accomplish? Things that matter, things that you can control, what you should focus on. There's a lot of things, on a macro environment level, on a micro environment level. We have personal relationship problems with our kids, whatever it might be. But you've got to really focus on things that matter, things that you control. And when you blend those two things together, that's really the core of where your concentration has to be each and every day. If you start getting worried about things that you can't control, you are not going to be able to find success in much of anything, because if you can't control it, then what are you doing concentrating on it? What are you doing worrying about it? Change is hard, guys. And when you bring a partner in, and if they've been doing something a certain way for a long period of time, it's going to be a process. It's not an event. If they get frustrated, then part of the manager's position and obligation and job and duty is to help them through that process. Now, no matter the situation, never let your emotions overpower your intelligence. And this is really important as a manager, because sometimes people are always, as a manager, basically what you're doing on a daily basis is you're solving a bunch of problems. And by doing that, you're unlocking success for other people. But if you get to the point where, you're breaking down and you're getting upset and you're letting your emotions getting the best of you, it's going to come out, and your team's going to see that, and you're either going to lose faith in you or they're just going to duplicate whatever they've seen from you. You're trying to just help people unlock these chains and shackles that have been holding them back from success in the past, to get over the hurdles, overcome the obstacles, and get where they need to go, which is going to be beneficial for you and your journey as well. So what's really happening in the conversations that we're having with our partners? Because it's very, very important. Yes, we're going to make some friends through this process, but your job is not to be their friend on the front side. Your job is to make them money, build them a successful business. And through that process, yes, personal relationships will come up. But ultimately, if you lead from like a friend mentality, then when you start, providing, criticism of what's going on or trying to help them out, it's not going to get taken in the same way. So you want to make, like, Jim Cramer says on Mad Money, we're not here to make friends. We're here to make money. The rest of it will come. It's tough to tell people the truth if that's not what they want to hear. And a lot of times people don't want to hear the truth, but your job as a manager, now you've got to find a fine line to be able to introduce some of this stuff without coming off in a certain way. But ultimately what you want to do is be able to go out and be able to tell people, hey, what you're doing right here is wrong for these reasons. This works better. And the easiest way to do that is, make it relatable. Say, hey, I did some of this stuff that you're doing right now when I first came in. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Let me tell you the reasons why, and let me tell you what will work. But ultimately, people have to be able to change. People have to be able to accept criticism, and they have to be able to get on board and in line with this, or else, they're never going to make it. We're all emotional creatures. We're not dealing with creatures of logic, whether we're dealing with clients or partners. We're dealing with creatures of emotion. And once you understand that, there's a psychological factor to sales, there's a psychological factor to marketing, there's definitely a psychological factor to management. Short-term success, it sucks, guys, because what you're doing is you're getting a taste of success and then it stops and then you're starting over and you get that taste of success and it's like a wheel. You're just constantly spinning around that wheel. What we're trying to teach and what we're advocating is long-term success. Put your time, energy, efforts into something that's going to be around for a while. And that requires consistency. It requires consistency from us, from our partners, from us as a manager's perspective. You got to show up each day and you got to bring it. You got to lead by example. And that's, mindset for us is everything. Like we talk about, not every day is going to be great. Maybe we're not feeling great physically, mentally. Maybe we got some problems in our family life, whatever it might be. But when you check into your business and other people are relying on you, you got to get your mindset correct. And you've got to get excited about helping other people. And that's one of the things that I've really developed and I've learned to love is watching other people become successful and getting excited about that, because other people's success is going to be your success. So helping other people reach their goals and dreams, if you are able to do that and able to teach other people how to do that, everything else will take care of itself. Remember, you don't build a business, you're going to build the people, and the people build the business. And that goes all the way back to the very first conversation where you're trying to evaluate if this person's going to be a good fit, and also if they're buying into your vision. What are you trying to accomplish, and are they the right fit? They're going to come in and help you make it a reality. Building a winning team, it's gonna, when it clicks, there's nothing that can stop it. Because remember, in our situation, we don't need money for, infrastructure, build out, it's all there. So the ability to commit to a common goal, the ability to work and plan collaboratively, contribute equally based on strengths and weaknesses, allocating to people's natural strengths. And this is one of the greatest parts of our business model, is that we allow that. You don't have to wear all the hats. You can pass the things off, support and encourage each other, and then work fast and stay on track. When you build a team of leaders, and once again, what I'm trying to build is 7 to 10 offices that I've got. It's a portfolio of digital offices that pays me very well for setting that up. That's called a cash flow asset, and that pays you passive income. Managing virtual teams is going to be a little bit different, because remember, we're not in an office. We're not listening to each other's calls. We're not having these, meetings multiple times a day to talk about stuff. So understand there is advantages and disadvantages to virtual teams. One of the disadvantages is that's a little bit of disconnection. So you as a manager can provide that connectivity, with Facebook groups, YouTube channel, emails out, whatever it might be, team meetings. So understand that, yes, we have huge advantages on the virtual side. There are a couple of weaknesses, but we can take care of those. You don't want somebody to come in and feel like they're off on a desert island by themselves. Also, one of our jobs as a manager is to make things easier. We've got all these tools, technology, whether it's automation or whether it's, all the great technology that we have built into some of the systems that we have. We've got great stuff. And what that allows us to do, the more stuff that we discover and pass on to our team, the more efficient our team becomes, and the bigger that distribution ball starts to get. Also, besides the tools and technology, we got a lot of great people already. And people coming in, they might be brand new, but they're going to be surrounded by seasoned entrepreneurs, industry veterans, successful people that can help them grow and develop, and we get paid to do so. We've got all different types of people that can help us on our individual growth patterns. And like I said, as a manager, you get paid to grow and develop talent. The point of resistance for scalability is we're in just a sweet spot, because if you look at our business, and if you were an investor looking at a business, you want to look at, hey, what is the point of resistance for scalability? Well, for us, it's that human element. It's putting the people into the right places, training, developing, coaching, mentoring those people to the point they can do this on their own. The scalability, like we talked about, we don't need money. We don't need infrastructure. We need the human element. And once we lock that in, and once we've got things going, watch what happens. We can't wait around for distribution. And yes, we have to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight, but we have to be persistent. We're not just waiting around for nothing in particular. We're pushing the envelope, and we're trying to make it happen, understanding that, yes, we do need patience, but once again, goes back to the proactive, reactive. We're not just sitting around waiting for stuff to happen. We're being the initiator. We're going out and making it happen. We try to get rid of the weak early, but sometimes they slip in. And you can't feel responsible for walking somebody off a ledge every single day. That's going to start to drain on you. And then you're going to start to have the negative effects of that. Stop babying people. They can't get, into a certain position mentally. They can't get into a certain position with activity. What can we do to possibly help them? You want to get rid of them as early as possible in the marketing, and you want to set up some filters. But like I said, if they do slip in, get rid of them as early as possible. You're doing them a favor. You're doing yourself a favor. You don't want a lot of negativity in your organization. The old saying, one bad apple spoils the bunch. And I'll take hustle over talent every single day. We're not always going to be the most, talented, the most gifted. We can always be the most competitive. We can go out there. So I'll take somebody with a little less talent if they've got a strong motivating factor. If they want to win and they're willing to do what's necessary along the pathway to win, I'll bring that person in, I'll coach them, I'll mentor them, and we'll show them the way. Also, we as managers, we have to be learning, and we have to spend some of our time every single day studying, because what studying is going to do, the more we learn, the more we earn, the more we learn about all these tools, the more we can introduce it to other people. So it has an immediate impact on our personal business, and it has a ripple effect on our organizational build out in terms of being able to pass that down and implement that, the need to study, and also what that brings when you're talking about, 5, 10, 15, 20 offices. We can concentrate on the management part. We can concentrate on the marketing part. We can concentrate on a lot of stuff every day. But one of the most important things that we have to do as a manager is to make sure people understand, hey, if I spend 15 minutes making my own meme and it gets 2 likes, no comments, no shares, that's okay. And that's part of what we do, building that brand online, build, engage, sell. But you've got to have income producing activities. And that goes back to those 12 to 15 appointments weekly with someone who has a reason to do something. If you've got that, then your business will be going well. If you concentrate on the non-income producing activities, what you'll find is that you're working hard, nothing's happening. You want to work smart. We cannot escape the phone. And if somebody comes in here as a potential partner and you get that vibe that, hey, this person's not going to be able to effectively handle a phone conversation, this person seems unwilling to get on the phone and talk to people, that's not going to work, guys. You can automate a lot of this business, but at the end of the day, you're automating to create conversations. If you're not willing to have the conversation, and like we talk about with our partners, I tell them flat out, hey, I will take your absolute worst phone call ever over no phone call, because the first number of phone calls are not going to be good. You're going to have the rocks in your mouth. You're going to, trip over yourself, stumble. You're going to get off the phone and say, oh, I should have said this. We want to learn from those phone calls. And eventually the verbiage will get there. And then you can start interjecting some of your personality in there and then develop a whole dialogue that actually works for you. But if you refuse the phone, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier each day. The point is, if you haven't used the phone for weeks, might as well be picking up a 500-pound dumbbell, because you have to do it daily. Managers have to contact your team, guys. Now, I'm not talking about that person who's done absolutely nothing. Yes, I keep them in email strings and they're invited to certain stuff that we have, but ultimately I'm contacting the people that are active, staying in touch with them and letting them know, hey, whatever help you need, if you're running into obstacles, you've got questions, want to talk about strategy, wide open line of communication. If they're working, willing to work with them. But don't be the lost colony where you just bring people in and then all of a sudden, I ask, hey, how's Joe Smith doing? And you don't even remember bringing this person into your organization. So have a little bit of, managerial organization to the approach, and understand you got to talk to people. The contact does not end when they come in. So that was like an opening to, a little bit about management. Management is going to be the explosive part of your business cycle. If you're good at managing and you're good at building, then that's really the 7-figure opportunity here to build a cash flow asset that pays you passive income, where you actually have an exit strategy that you can walk away from, is very, very valuable in today's society. So what we'll do next week is we'll continue on the theme of management. And like we talked about since the beginning of the year, we've talked about mindset. We've talked about lead generation, marketing. We've talked about conversion rates along the way. We've talked about handling objections. Now we're talking about managing. So once again, all we're trying to do is create series where your partners can either attend live, go see the recording, or go back, to the past and get the information they need on demand to build their business.